Are you ready for a central bank digital currency here in the States? Well, regardless of whether you're ready or not, the Federal Reserve has announced that next July in 2023, they will be launching the Fed Now service, which will be the infrastructure for the American CBDC. Ready? Let's dive in. On August 29th, the Federal Reserve released this announcement that in mid-2023, they will begin full-scale pilot testing of their Fed Now service. Now, you're probably thinking a Fed Now service doesn't sound like a central bank digital currency, and you'd be kind of right. So what we're going to talk about here today is why this infrastructure, this system, is the groundwork. It's the rails for the future CBDC. This is like the Gen 1, version 1 of a central bank digital currency. My good friend, the Economic Ninja, back in March, talked about how this would happen. And then just a few days ago, George Gammon as well talked about how this Fed Now service is the first version of the central bank digital currency. So we are going to look at a couple of reasons why. But first, we do have to take a little trip back in history to understand why these rails, why this infrastructure means that they're getting ready for a CBDC. Okay, so banking system in the beginning, before we had bank notes, before when we had just commodity-backed money. Everybody's got coins and everybody trades those coins as money for stuff. In that sort of an economy, you don't have any sort of fractional reserve banking. You don't have banking at all, except for a vaulting service that you pay for when you have so much money you want somebody to watch over it for you. Eventually, though, you get to the point where you do have banking kind of invented as a loan and deposit, as a savings and loan business, because so many people are storing their gold that they just stop taking it out of storage. If we look at the bottom of what banknotes, what dollar bills, what money used to say, it says, in gold coin, $20, it was a weight of gold in gold coin, and it's payable to the bearer of this note on demand. That means if you have that piece of paper, you can take it into the vault, the bank, you can say, give me my $20, which by definition was an amount of gold. This is how things worked for thousands of years once banking started. Now, in this system, it's important to have the gold. It's important to have those reserves, right? Because for the last 3,000 years, the gold itself was the money, and people just traded the paper because it was more convenient and safer to store your gold with somebody else. And so in this system, the reserves are the money, and the reserves are the important thing, otherwise you get a bank run. So everybody's trading these papers back and forth as money, but the moment you think that that bank might not have enough money, everybody goes and turns in the paper to get their real money. And so if the bank doesn't have enough real money in reserves, the bank goes bust, there's a bank run, some people get some of their gold, some people get all their gold, some people get nothing, and it is a disaster. Now, in a system like this, you have a problem with payments that take place across far distances. Check out this gold certificate. This was issued from the Farmers National Gold Bank of San Jose. $50, again, redeemable in gold coin, it says there at the top. This means that you've got a relationship with this bank and you know they've got your gold, but you go across the country and you try and pay somebody with that piece of paper, they might not trust that that's a real piece of paper, that there's actually gold to back it up. They don't know that bank, they don't have a relationship, and so it presents friction and problem with payments across large distances. So then you have relationships formed between the banks themselves to do settlement transactions. The way that this works today and the way that it worked back then, you've got two banks and you've got a bunch of customers at each bank. And all day long, they're making payments back and forth with each other. So you've got $100,000 worth of payments going from Bank A over to Bank B, and you've also got $90,000 worth of payments going from people at Bank B over to people at Bank A. So all your Chase customers go to all of the Bank of America customers' stores, and Bank of America customers go to the Chase customer stores. They're buying things from each other all day long. This one, $100,000 is going over. This one, $90,000 is going over, there's just a net settlement there. So instead of actually transferring all that gold, you only transfer $10,000 worth of gold from bank A to bank B at the end of the day. So you have a batch settlement of all the transactions, a net settlement of the difference between the two. That's how it worked back then, and that's how it still works today. Now, because of modern day technology, many people think that this is just stupid that our system still works this way with batch settlement, that it takes days, weeks, sometimes months for transactions to actually completely settle. And so they're saying, hey, with modern technology, we don't need to be using all of the old systems that we used to use that are built on layers and layers and layers of old technology. Why can't we use things like modern technologies coming out today, like many cryptocurrencies are presenting us with the possibility of instant payments with instant settlement? There's no gold in the vaults anymore, so why are we still using the systems and acting like there still is? And that's exactly where this FedNow instant payments service comes in. This is the infrastructure for instant payments. With modern technology, we don't actually need to wait during business hours and not to have transactions go through on weekends. We can have 24/7 settlement every single day of the year that happens instantly from bank to bank. The problem is this takes some technology and some infrastructure. You have to build these rails out because everything we have right now is built on a banking system that was built on a debt system that was built on a fractional reserve banking system that was built on actually having some gold in reserves. And so you have to rebuild all the new from the ground up, and that's what the FedNow service is. Now, I cannot personally confirm this myself, but many people are saying that the FedNow service is actually being built with Ripple XRP technology as its foundation, which would make sense because you would want to co-opt, you'd want to adopt an existing technology. You have a bunch of PhDs in economics that can't see the forest for the trees, so you're not going to use them to build out a technological infrastructure for a new banking system. You're just going to use something that's already in existence that you can control, which may be why XRP was handled so thoroughly and so severely by the SEC way back when. Now, just in case it isn't clear, this infrastructure bypasses a lot of the need for the current banking infrastructure, which is the purpose of a central bank digital currency. Eventually, every single economic participant has an account directly with the Federal Reserve, the central bank, and then you don't need any of the decentralized nodes of the financial system, the existing or the previously existing banks. This transforms the purpose of the entire banking system really into infrastructure for the CBDC. Rather than having the central bank just operate as the bank for the other banks, it really does centralize everything under one roof. And once that system is built, once all the kinks are worked out of the system, and once they've been able to figure out everything that's wrong with it and roll it out successfully, then they will have the foundation in place to build the Gen 2, the version 2 CBDC on top of it. The only thing that would be left to do would be to have everybody open an account directly with the Fed. So why do it this way, and why do it so slowly, and do it in a way where you're rolling out technology that builds the foundation but doesn't necessarily roll out the full CBDC itself? Well, because you can't boil a frog fast. You've got to do it slowly. So they've got to do this piece by piece, where every single step along the way doesn't itself look like something like a power grab, doesn't look like something where they're trying to gain a foothold for the future CBDC. Otherwise, everyone would reject it. Everyone in the right minds would look at this thing and say, absolutely not. And number two, the reason is because, well, it would actually just fail. They're a bunch of idiots. They don't know how to roll something out this complex at the scale that they would need to without falling flat on their face. So they've got to do this in baby steps and make sure each step works along the way. But make no mistake, a central bank digital currency is coming, and it looks like this new FedNow service is just the launch of the infrastructure for launching the full version of the CBDC later on. And if this is true, it means that we are inching our way closer and closer to the need to get some of your wealth outside of the banking system, because by the time a CBDC is launched and they have full control of transactions, it will probably be, number one, more important to have wealth outside of the system, but number two, too late to actually get it out. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.